But I'm Kathryn Stowell and I lead the CENMAC team. And I'm pleased to be sharing this work on behalf of the many brilliant staff I work with, and most importantly, to share the stories and amplify the experiences and voices of all the amazing young children and young people that have been part of this way of working. This project has been developed over the last 4 years in partnership with Assistiveware, who I must say have been a wonderful organisation to work with. They have a brilliant, really knowledgeable team, and they're incredibly generous as a company. I realise the idea of a universal offer or classroom implementation of power-based AAC is something that's being explored and more with many AAC companies. It's now not new, but I want to share what we've done because I've seen how powerful telling the stories of the positive impacts of this approach has had on staff and those who we work with in our outreach work. If you're thinking about this way of working, I hope by sharing our story it inspires you to consider this as well. I've got a couple of short films. Oh, sorry, was that? Did someone have a question? No? I've got a couple of short films, which I won't have time to show all of, but they're going to be put up onto our website over the next week. I just wanted to highlight that CENMAC supports children and young people all across London at all phases of education, both for AAC, so Augmentative Alternative Communication, and assistive technology, but supporting children and young people with access to power-based AAC is a growing need. I think it's key to also note that we really value working with many of the companies in developing new products and ways of working. So CENMAC works as an outreach service. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting some feedback. Just mute all. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we work as an outreach service from Charlton Park Academy, and we're a special secondary school. The school's led by Mark Dale-Emberton, who is really open to providing creative and innovative practices. He's really happy to support staff to learn from implementation, sometimes successful and sometimes not. So I think that's quite an important thing to note. The school has a high number of amazing students who learn mostly through sensory and exploratory learning. Being part of Charlton Park Academy allows us to pilot and try out new ways of working. Trialling new hardware and software gives us an opportunity to empower our users, build skills in evaluating the technology, build their own leadership skills and agency, which is really important for their future. I just want to mention two of the team members who really deserve a special mention here. Abdi Omar, who is one of our AAC consultants and a staff member at CENMAC. He's been instrumental in the success of this project, changing staff attitudes and raising aspirations. Our students absolutely love Abdi. He's like a celebrity in our school. Working alongside Abdi is Claire Hennings. She's a very talented communication specialist teaching assistant. And Abdi gives our students someone to really look up to, and he's really challenged all of us in our thinking around implementation. At CENMAC, we believe in the right to communication for all. The students who really surprised us in this project are those young people who were at risk at being less heard or even unheard. They are the students who we previously would not really normally have considered power-based AAC for. What has been exciting about this project is that those students who are neurodiverse and have not responded to other paper-based communication systems have been really motivated by the power-based AAC. And we've noticed students responding after considerable amounts of time and exposure to power-based AAC as part of a total communication environment or tool. So the power-based AAC has given these students with profound and complex needs the ability to show who they are and to reach their potential. The world is changing and has changed significantly over the last couple of decades. Children now grow up seeing parents using total communication, including devices and screens in everyday life. Power-based AAC has often been seen as a specialist tool, and many specialist technologies are now part of a universal offer. So things like dictation software, we had Dragon Dictation, which was a specialist piece of software, and now that's built into many of our devices, phones, laptops, and technology. Face recognition is used by most people to access, for ease of access to their phones and devices, but for some people that have fine motor difficulties, it may be the only way they can access a device. So some of these tools are essential for some, but they're really useful for all of us. We learn to pick and choose these tools when we want different ways of accessing our technology. It's not to say that specialist provision of AAC is not needed, but using power-based AAC as part of a universal offer gives so many more children and young people the potential to access a specialist provision. From the first pilot in just one class, we noticed the positive response to power-based AAC, giving teachers and staff confidence, adding to the universal design of learning, providing multiple ways of engagement, representation, action, and expression, all in one device. We often experience barriers to the implementation of AAC, and probably I know many of the people on the call will be aware that unfortunately aspirations can be low because they've got people have preconceived ideas on potential outcomes, and as a service, we often experience many barriers within schools. Teachers, no fault of their own, but have never had any experience of how to implement power-based AAC into a classroom. And there is often limited resources, and national criteria is out of reach for many of the young people that we work with. So just a quick note on the criteria. So you know that there is government funding for children and young people who meet the criteria, but out of 800 children that we support with power-based AAC, only 11 of the children meet this criteria. So many of the children we work with, we're helping to build those skills so that they can access government funding for AAC. Often the access to a hub or the government funding relies on local teams being in place or family engagement. So I've often heard that the service is not provided if there's not good family engagement, particularly as young people move into adult services. Yeah, I think lots of young people are miss out. So as a service, we are a very person-centred service, and we use the SET framework to ensure that the students are central to the process. From our years of experience of working in many different environments, we know that the environment is absolutely key to the making or breaking or success of the implementation of technology. So we've been investing more and more of our time trying to find ways to get this right. We also wanted to challenge the attitudes of staff and how they see the potential of individuals we work with. Often labels relate to interventions rather than believing or trying the different types of tools that are available. So what did we do? We started over 4 years ago. First of all, we had a chat group that we ran, and we invited ABDI to be part of that chat group. And we thought, this is great. We'll ask the students and the staff, teaching assistants from the classes to come to this chat group, and we'll all learn together, and they'll go back to their classroom and implement the use of the power-based AAC. We were the beginning of this project was about improving the outcomes for those students who had individual devices. And what happened was that every week there'd be reasons why the staff couldn't come to the sessions because of lack of time or short-staffed, lots and lots of different reasons. So we were having a lovely time in this session, and the students were having showing fantastic outcomes, but then it wasn't going back into the classroom. So we decided to take the session into the classroom. We thought, okay, well, let's take Abdi as the teacher into the class and let's give everyone a device. And that was our first wow moment in this project. We just saw how the staff began to build their confidence. The teacher then thought, wow, actually I can use this in my English lessons, and I can use this to help me with the students' understanding and the visual tools within the classroom. We saw students who were previously non-verbal starting to speak. We saw the literacy levels increase, particularly with those students who were verbally speaking. It was really significant. So what we decided to do was to go and share what we had found at Communication Matters, and we went and presented myself, Abdi and Claire at Communication Matters, and that's when we met Ewan Robinson from Assistive Wear, who was starting to talk about similar things in the way class approach to AAC. So, and Assistive Wear was starting to develop the Proloquo Classroom as a tool, so asked us if we would pilot it. So we said, of course, we said yes, great. And we came back to school and we decided to pilot across 5 classes. So we have 5 different pathways for our students, and we decided to pilot in every pathway. And we had Abdi running sessions for us, but we took Abdi into our class with the pathway with the students with the most complex sensory needs, and we found that they didn't really have the skills yet to attend to the whiteboard or to Abdi on the screen. So we decided to trial some sensory story. Again, it was another wow for us because these were the students we had never considered power-based AAC for before, and they started to respond, use the devices independently, and by the end of the year we had 2 students on their own individual systems. The staff also absolutely loved having the iPads. They said it reduced their time in making resources. It reduced their interactions and not reduced it, supported their interactions and conversations with the students. Many benefits. So it was at the end of that first pilot year we actually we went from, I think it was 3 classes to 5 classes, because this storytelling started to sort of ripple across the school. We had teachers telling these amazing wow moments of these students using their we call them talkers now, their devices. So then we had other teachers coming to us saying, could we trial it? So it was at the end of that year that we decided to actually give iPads to every young person across the whole academy, and the response has been even more amazing, and we've now started to share those success stories with our CENMAC, with our wider community across London, and really excitingly we've got other schools who are now starting to implement a more universal approach to AAC and seeing some of the same results. I'm just going to keep a quick eye on the time. I'm going to just play you a video, and I'm just going to skip to about here. Oh, sorry.
Like Kathryn, who is love working with my students. Every session is unique.
It certainly is. We never know what Abdi's got planned for us.
Oh, sorry.
There's some sessions he says things and I just think, how on earth are my students going to do this? But he sets his aspirations for them really high and they always succeed.
I lose control.
We do, yeah, you do lose control, but it's one of our favourite sessions when that happens. The sessions are so organic and natural that we never quite know where they're going to end up or what's going to be spoken about.
They talk together and we love it.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the biggest things we've noticed, isn't it? How the communication within the sessions is becoming more of the students talking to each other. Yeah, it's really special.
I'm Emma. I'm a teacher at a special needs secondary school, and I have a Key Stage 3 and 4, kind of a sensory classroom. So I first used Proloquo Classroom 3 years ago because I was part of the initial pilot project. My first impressions when I saw the app were, I was a little bit worried that it might be a bit too much for my students because I had a class of the most complex needs students, so students that might not necessarily have used power-based AAC, using choice boards and core word boards. So I thought initially maybe there's too many buttons on the device, but I kind of soon got over that. And what I really like about it is that there's so much vocabulary on it, particularly core words on the first page of the device. What I like most about using Proloquo in the classroom is that it saves me so much time and so much work, and everything I need is on the device. So I know that any vocabulary I need for my lesson is already on there, so it cuts down on my workload hugely. I'm no longer making resources, spending hours and hours making resources because I know everything's on the device ready for me to use. It provides so many opportunities for spontaneous communication with my students. I think so this has given me the chance to get to know my students better, and also find out their get a better idea of their comprehension levels as well. What surprised me the most about using Proloquo Classroom is how students that we would never have really considered for power-based AAC have, after lots of perseverance, lots of modelling, have really taken to using the device, and just the surprising things that my students have used it for. Some examples are that when my students use my name for the first time, so all of my students are non-speaking, and the first time they said my name was really, really emotional, because I didn't know that they knew my name, so that was great. So lots of kind of social communication in the playground. So now one student in my class can tell me, I want to go fast on the roundabout, I want to go slow, I want to stop, I want the roundabout to be finished. One thing that's been really significant for me is hearing from my own class and from other colleagues that every young person's first word has been different. In my own experience, One of my students last year, their first word was Marmite. That was the thing he really wanted to tell me about, how much Marmite he wanted on his bagel.
So as you heard from the film, lots of really positive outcomes for the students. We're seeing students with their peer groups feeling valued. So, you know, our first priority when we started the project was to really support our students who did have an individualized power-based system make better progress. And now when you walk around the school, those are the students who really take ownership of their devices actually when they leave the school. That's been a significant outcome as well. The school data has shown really significant increase in terms of their English, the English data, and hopefully we will have time to quickly hear from a colleague about that. And yeah, the families are turning up for training, where we got very poor turnout for training when we were running training on communication. Now we're getting a full room. Parents are really excited and really on board with using the systems at home. And we've moved from sort of supporting the individuals to the classes, to across the pathway, the school, and now other schools using the system, using this way of working. Just to quickly show you a couple of things that are quite significant about the app and the feedback that we've got from the teachers. I think one of the things that we all really love about it now is there's so much core vocabulary on the initial page, and you can say so much. Even though we use a number of different other systems in the school alongside this, everyone is feeling acknowledged in terms of their communication system. Yeah, and I think Emma was pointing out that everyone's first word has been different. So if we're really limiting the vocabulary that we give students, then we don't know what's going to be the motivating thing for them in terms of their communication. And I think Emma pointed out too that actually it's taken some young people a really long time. Like we had one student in school that it was actually in his second year of being exposed to the power-based AAC that he made his first initial communication using the device. It's really supported the students with their literacy skills because they've been watching teachers using the find tool and the spelling tools to locate words. And some of the things I asked the students about what they liked, and just about every student said they really enjoyed learning together. They liked the colour coding. They also found using the find button and folders, and they mentioned about being able to practice. These are some of the things that the teachers have said about using the Proloquo Classroom. They've said how it's really supported them in understanding their students' comprehension. So for the first time, they actually understand what their students are understanding. There's greater independence. It's really improved the social skills. And we see this when at break times and lunch times where students are interacting and talking to each other using the devices. And I'm just going to skip through these quickly. As I said at the beginning, I think it's been important that there's a clear vision from the head teacher and an investment. the role models has been a brilliant thing, and that's gone from Abdi to other young people in the school being the role models. The storytelling, being able to talk about those wow moments. We ran a training session, and we started by just saying, why would we do this? And we just had the teachers telling story after story of what the impact had been for the students. Abdi's approach, I think, has been really significant too, that he runs his sessions, they're very playful and organic. It's not, it's really based around that free flow of communication. And just quickly speed through this as well. I think a couple of the limitations or the potential risks might be that it could reduce the specialist provision if it's not recognised that those students actually need their own individualised system. Also, I think it would be really fantastic to capture more of the social impact that we've had and seen in the school. We have had quite a lot of investment of time through myself and through Claire and Abdi to get to implement the project. Yeah, I would really love for us to reframe the eligibility criteria, to be focusing more on the environment and ensuring that we give an opportunity to every young person to show their potential, and that that they could potentially have access to these tools. I'm just going to play another. Just want you to see a bit more.
Didn't want, or conversation directions. It's just amazing. So what I've seen happen since the students have using Proloquo in my classroom is that they socially are coming together. They want to play board games. They're able to interact and use the Proloquo to talk to each other while they're playing the games. My class love Monopoly, and before it would have probably been a kind of a really adult-led task, whereas now we don't actually have to sit around the table because they're using their devices to communicate with each other. My reading group that I've got, the social interaction that's there now with the students helping each other. I don't know, it's in the yellow section. I'll come and show you. That's great. So again, I've got too many staff in my reading group because I don't actually need that many of stuff, because my students are becoming the teachers and support. So it's great. So we have a weekly mentoring session with Abdi Omar. The benefits of having Abdi come to our sessions, either virtually or in person, has been such a benefit to the students, because they've been able to see the someone else that's kind of like them, and the way his lessons are, they're so engaging, they're so fun. We even have jokes between each other. So the students have kind of seen the real fun side of communication, and I think that's what's really kind of channels their motivation to want to use it more as well.
I have some students whose parents doesn't even speak English at home, and it's very difficult for those students to come and understand what we want to say or to express themselves. So on Proloquo app, we always have a consistent voice and consistent sounding words, which help students to learn words and to communicate. I have a student who, for example, last year, his speech was so blurred and so unclear that we couldn't understand. However, now, after using an app for a year, a student can speak quite clearly, and we all understand what he's saying. Sometimes if he sees we don't understand what he said, he actually takes iPad, brings it to us, and pushes the word he was about, what he wanted to say, so we understand.
Sorry, I've just realised it's 4 o'clock. So I just actually wanted to end with a quote from Abdi. Yeah, when I was at school, people sometimes talked at me, not to me. One teacher changed that. She waited, looked at me and believed I had more to say. She was right. Belief is oxygen, access opens the door, but practice takes us through it. Yeah, sorry, that was all a bit rushed at the end. I condensed a presentation that I did for an hour, so I'll just stop there. And has anyone got any questions before you leave? Sorry.
Kathryn, I was just going to ask about, I know you're using Proloquo across the classrooms, but I know you use different apps. Some individuals use different apps within that. How do they find going between the two? Have there been any kind of difficulties with that?
No, interestingly, no. We do have a number of different, so we have SuperCore being used, we have Word Power, and we've got TD, and actually I think we've got one other, yeah, and different access methods. But I think the main thing is that they feel valued, like they're seeing it, you know, everyone's using a system. So yeah, we haven't seen any problems with it. And I mean, interesting, because obviously we're a widget school, so we have widget symbols in our timetable, our now and next, and the app Proloquo has PCS symbols. So we did have quite a lot of discussion, and I can see David's on the call, so he was one of the teachers that we had quite a lot of discussion in the beginning about that when we first piloted it. But we decided that the focus, you know, was on the power-based system, and that the visuals were supporting those students with now and next and their timetables, and actually we wouldn't get too worried about it in the first instance, and actually that hasn't caused major problems either, although now naturally people are starting to put those visuals into the environment. So I know yeah, David, who's on the call, has made some fantastic stories with images of the buttons and where to locate different vocabulary on the system. Yeah. Could you explain how you trialed sensory stories as this first step? Yeah, sure. So yeah, this was with our class, and actually David, who's on the call, is part of this pilot too. Was with the group that we realized that they weren't able to attend to the whiteboard, and Abdi was running his sessions via the whiteboard. So we adapted sensory stories that had a lot of core vocabulary in them. So one of the first stories we did was about a bear that wanted to go to the moon, and there was lots and lots of core vocabulary that we could keep emphasizing in the story. So at the same time, we were implementing some immersive technology in the classroom. So we used the sensory guru technology alongside sensory props, the iPads and the core. And interesting, we did use some paper-based resources first, but we realized that that was just very difficult to manage within the classroom. So yeah, we used the iPads for the sensory. Did that answer your question? We have made quite a few sensory stories now that are based around core words. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you everyone for joining this afternoon. And yes, sorry that I rushed it at the end there, but hopefully it's given you a bit of an overview of our project. So thanks very much.